what you got. Oh, I can't see tomorrow. Gotta live, try to get a little wiggle room, the rest don't stop. Quid pro quo, I need the best y'all got. Tryna make a dollar, flip it like it's vinyl. Tryna make a way. What's it worth to you if the price too high? Quid pro quo, I need the best y'all got. Give me your best. Don't tell me nothing less, cause I'm giving you 100. How you always leaving me with nothing? I'm not impressed. It's gonna take more than this, cause I'm giving you 100. And I don't even know if I can trust you for nothing.
Well, good morning. I did to find the camera a second. I'm going to, good morning. I hope everybody's great. It is Friday. It is January the something. I think it's the 6th. It is January the 6th. So good morning. Good morning, Teal. Good morning, everybody. Welcome to Friday. Welcome to the first Friday in January of 2023. This is the day that the Lord hath made. Hope you guys are good. I hope you guys are looking forward to a fantastic day. As you can see, I'm in different environments. I'm back in Hartwell, and I'm waiting on have an empty spot here, so I'm waiting on Christy to get here, and we will get rocking this morning. So good morning. Hope you guys have a warm cup of coffee or whatever beverage you have in your hand. Hopefully it's non-alcoholic this early in the morning. Well, good morning, Carrie. How are you? Vanessa, Winston, you guys are watching, but you're not saying good morning, and you know the drill. If you're on this morning with us, you've got to say good morning. That's kind of the deal. So make sure you say good morning. Make sure you let us know that you're here. We'd love to know that you're watching as my wife starts messing with things on the table.
Oh, shoot. Is that making the video move?
No, the camera's just fine. You just come sit down and look at that camera.
I was trying to keep this from...
It's all good. I think it's going to be just fine.
It's not if it's bending my thing.
It's not bending it that much. It's absurd. It's not going to bother that bad.
Bothers me.
Bothers her. Good morning, Kristen Ritchie. How are you? Good to see everybody. You have
Did AirPods on or no?
No, we're talking right there.
Okay, cool.
Because we're right here with each other, so we don't have to have AirPods.
So we can hear each other.
Right there.
All right.
Good morning.
You go that way.
I'm sorry.
Because I feel like I'm off center.
Source crap. Who's source crap?
Oh my gosh.
Kristen, you source crap?
That was my thoughts exactly. I mean, to tell you what, man, last night I did a workout that did something where you do like rope pulls and like you're supposed to tighten every
A real
muscle.
rope or imaginary rope?
Imaginary ropes. Oh. I don't have rope burns on my hands. Oh my God. I literally, my forearms feel like they're like gush.
This is what's crazy to me is when your body, when you get used to doing like certain things. I wasn't going to say that. When you get used to doing certain things, and then you start trying to do different things, your body lets you know
anything
that you've not done certain things a certain way in a long time.
Gosh.
So Vanessa said she's
sore
too.
I feel like I can't. It's like
I don't know what you mean to do.
It's all right. Can we move that camera down just a little bit?
Absolutely.
Oh, Lord. Oh, goodness. Yeah, let's just move it down just a little bit. Let's see. Wait, hold on. Let's see what that's doing. That's probably better, maybe. Can y'all see anything any different? That's good. That's good right there. I think it's good. Can y'all still see us? That's better, I think. Golly dogs, y'all. This is I can't say it on the family friendly. We're on Kids Hour. It's Kids Hour. We can't say what I was.
We do have some children here.
Can't say what I was gonna say. Where'd that go?
We're good.
Let's see. He's fidgeting with stuff. Sorry, y'all.
I can't imagine why I'm having to change everything and fidget around so much.
Could ready? There we go. There we have it.
Can you scoot that way a little bit? Because you're right in the middle. Should we go sit outside?
You have to move. You're the one that moved the camera. Let's see.
There. Don't move the camera. Just come sit. y'all. Oh my God. Oh,
Oh, I can't move.
Lord Jesus.
I can't move. Oh gracious! There's only 4 people here. At least
Kristen, I don't have that problem. So
What is it? What she say?
sitting on the toilet, I'm not that bad. I am sore in my shoulders and my chest though.
I'm telling you what, man. Right here in my chest, those rope pulls last night because he's like pull, pull, pull.
Can you imagine if you're pulling something?
He's got an Australian accent, which makes you really just want to do whatever he's telling you to do. I mean, they're both
Story for another day.
No, I mean, like seriously, it's like, when they have that accent, it's just like it doesn't feel like an American.
You.
It doesn't feel like an American telling you to do it because they've got that twang in their voice. And his wife is so cute and petite. She looks like a little cartoon character beside him. He's so tall and she's so tiny, and her little legs are like that. On the TV, her little legs look like they're like that big around, and he's like this big guy, and they cut up with each other, and it's kind of like our stuff, like we're casual, except we're sedentary, and they're like, she's kicking his butt. She kicks his butt. I follow, so on his videos.
Kristen said you working out with Keith Urban.
Kinda. He's like a tall,
I'm not sure Keith
Andre
Urban.
the Giant,
I'm not
more
sure
slender version of
Keith Urban inspires much.
He doesn't. Keith Urban is not very inspiring, but like he does the.
No offense, Keith.
He teaches you to do the uppercuts and the uppercuts and the uppercuts and whew, golly dogs. But no, just even her accent, like when her accent, like just her little. I don't know if they're Australian or if they're from like South Africa or New Zealand or it's somewhere in with that.
Oh, this is so good.
It makes me feel like I'm on a cruise.
So let me
I'm talking to them.
Oh,
because
so
they all have accents. Like all the
everyone in the cruise is from Nepal.
No, they're not. No, I'm not talking about the people that like bring you drinks by the pool and wait your tables at night. I'm talking about the people that are like in the spa.
Oh, I don't see those
because they're all like they're Australia or they're South Africa or they're somewhere that's just.
I just see the people that bring me drinks.
True statement. Okay.
So I want to segue.
Fair enough.
This is a great segue into this. Anytime you start doing something new that you're not used to doing, it's going to be painful. There's going to be a level of discomfort that you're going to experience when you start doing anything new. And I can say this, not just physical.
That's so true.
When I ask you to make phone calls, when we say that you've got a prospect, when we say that you got to do this or do that, and it's something that you're not used to doing, you're going to experience some pain. There's going to be some discomfort in that. And the part of coaching and the part of having accountability partners and the part of having somebody to push you like us or like yourself or like your husband or your spouse or a friend or an accountability partner in the company, they push you through that pain. They push you through the discomfort when you really want to quit, when you really want to stop, when it really sucks so bad that you want to quit. You have somebody that pushes you through that.
Just like last night, he said, he got in the bed and he said, I'm going to try to get up for the call tomorrow morning. I said, no, you're getting up for the call tomorrow morning.
I mean, because I got in at like 1:00 this morning. I mean, when I got in the bed, it was like a little after 1. So, and after a 5-hour drive and being up since 4:00 Central the previous morning, that's a long day. It's a pretty long day, but I'm here. So here we go. But here's what I want. This is where I want to encourage you. Don't let the little bit of pain and not be able to wash your hair and not be able to feel, the backs of your arms or your butt hurting so bad because you've been doing whatever you've been doing. Don't let that stop you from continuing, because at some point it turns. At some point the soreness goes away.
Right.
At some point you become accomplished in what you're doing. At some point you get you get stronger, and then that soreness goes away because you're just reacting. Your body's just reacting to doing something new, and that's all it is.
Right.
And it's your body's reaction to doing something new. So in this season, as we get you going, as we all get going on 2023, you're going to have to do something different to accomplish something more.
So I want to jump in here too. So this is going to be one of those mornings of interruptions, because everything he's saying, I'm like wanting to jump in there and say something, because I kind of talked about it yesterday a little bit, and I talked about it a little bit in the meeting on Wednesday, that sometimes so I'm just going to use, and this, y'all are going to hear about, if you're not on this 75 hard thing, I'm going to tell you that I wish you would. I really
wish you would.
I wish you would, because and I said this in the meeting. I think that so many people don't do it. The description itself deters people from doing it, because they think, why would I want to do something that is named 75 hard? First of all, it's really not that hard if you break it, because if you really break it down into the simplistic form that it is, and I'd have to have my little app in front of me, but there's a very small list of things you got to do. You got to drink a gallon of water.
Mhm.
You got to take a progress picture.
Mhm.
The progress picture part, my first progress picture, I'm just going to be honest with y'all. My first progress picture was me and Cooper sitting in the bed.
That's gonna be the one on. That's gonna be the one on his website.
It was me and Cooper sitting in
It's
the
gonna
bed.
say, "Look at this."
Day one, that was me and Cooper sitting in the bed.
Lord.
It was a progress picture, and it checked the box that day. So drink a gallon of water, which again, and I kind of went around the room, and I had some of these crazy fools that are in this thing that literally have this gallon of water that they carry around with them all day long. Like a gallon of water that they're carrying around with them. Good morning, Michelle.
Good morning, Michelle.
So,
Michelle's done with her first workout of the morning, by the way.
oh, I'm certain of that. I have no
She just
doubt.
said she was.
I'm sure she is. So, gallon of water, and you got to read 10 pages of a book, and you got to do 2 workouts, one inside, one outside. And the outside one is because it's pushing you to, because conditions are not always going to be perfect. There's
Lord.
going to be obstacles that you just got to push through, just like you were saying. And as I was driving, and some of these notes, and y'all can't read them, but Aaron can't read them. I don't normally write that sloppy. That's because I was writing those driving down the road Wednesday, headed to the meeting.
Can't imagine why she almost flipped her car.
No. This was after I almost flipped my car.
Ah.
I'd already started driving regular speed. I wasn't driving fast and writing these things. This is when I was driving at a very, very safe speed. So, and I wasn't even looking. I was watching the road and writing. Anyways, that's for another day. But it talked about removing obstacles of change makes it easier. So if we see, and the example they were talking about, because this was actually Hal Elrod had somebody who sponsors his Miracle Morning podcast, Organifi, and the founder of Organifi was on there talking, and she talked about how so many people, and they were talking about juicing, and they're talking about how so many people don't juice because it's so difficult, because there's just so much that has to go into it. So one of the things that they've got is it's because, again, a lot of the juicing is you're getting it fresh, and there's some kind of technology that they've done, or something they've done with their products, that it has all the same nutritional content if you had juiced them fresh, because the fresh juicing obviously is more better than the more better
juice.
So, but she talked about how this actually, sometimes if somebody will get into juicing, and they just use the powder for the juicing, but it's literally got all the exact nutritional content of the actual fresh juicing, that they'll start doing that. And then if that gets them started, it kind of gets that momentum rolling. It gets you going. It gets going. So, Vanessa, I'm with you, girl. Last night, you should have seen me last night. I can't tell y'all. I literally feel like I'm every night ending the night trying to finish getting my water in. I feel like I'm at some sort of a college frat party, chugging chugging smart water.
What are you doing in there? I'm funneling a bottle of Spore water. Got to get it in.
I'm chugging that water last night, and my clock on my stove said 11:59, and I'm like, look, and I'm like, boom, and I put the pump down, and it turns 12 o'clock. I'm like, yes, I beat it.
Gosh.
I'm telling you, man, I was chugging that water. I was beating the 12
My
o'clock.
issue's not drinking it. My issues is coming out.
I
stopped at the interstate twice on the side of the road and peed.
Did you
Oh
really?
my God.
That's not safe at all.
I can't help it. It's not safe to pee in your pants.
Did you not listen to the podcast? He said, don't be an idiot.
Too late.
He said, don't be an idiot. So anyways,
But no, I don't listen to the podcast.
removing the obstacles of change makes it easier to do. And I talked about that this 75 hard really isn't that hard. Now you can make it hard. You can make it as hard as you want. Like if you jump in and go from, like you said, doing a whole lot of like, so I'm not talking about anybody but me, like some people used to do before this. And then you go to, I'm pumping, I'm throwing up 125, what are they called?
Dumbbells,
No.
pounds,
But they're
kilograms.
No, but when you do
Bench
this,
press?
yes, I'm doing that.
Sounds like 3 words.
When you throw
Give the
up.
sign, give the signal, tell her to go.
So, but if you go from that, but then I just started trying to do the rope pulls last night. The rope pulls, that was my
It
mistake.
was an imaginary rope. Can you imagine if it was a real rope? She was pulling air and she's sore.
Yeah, but I put my muscles into it. Y'all, woo,
Look,
Lord.
I'm going to swim in the air. Can I just do this?
Yeah, but when you
Just swim. Do that for 45 minutes and see if it's a workout.
no, I'm sweating. I'm telling you, man, I'm dripping with sweat when I get done with the videos. Seriously.
I don't doubt it.
I mean, because you do, and it's getting your core temperature up, and they're really, really good. Like I really enjoy that video. And they kind of jabbed each other. Like she gives him a really hard time. He tries to give her a hard time, and she just looks at him and goes, and keeps on going because she's kicking his butt in that workout.
I got my butt kicked by some girl in a workout on a video. I was like, Jacker said, it's a girl. And I said, I don't care. Because he was watching me do it. I'm like, oh my God, this sucks.
It's pretty intense for real. So just
I'm going to talk about this obstacle of
okay,
change.
go ahead.
Talk about this
I
obstacle
like
of change.
it. Go for it.
So obstacles to change. Sometimes those obstacles are your own mental blocks. Sometimes they are physical blocks. Sometimes they're things subconsciously that happen to you in your day that create those blocks, those obstacles. I will tell you, distractions for a lot of us are obstacles to change. And we get so, because it does hurt when we start thinking about picking up the phone, and I'll just use real estate as an example. Let's use, because we're all, I think everyone on this call is in real estate. So let's use real estate as an example. And let's say we're going to call an expired listing. And we know from our previous experience in calling expired listings, those people who own or had expired listings don't want to be called. And so we have all these preconceived notions in our mind of what's going to happen on the phone call. And so then we pick up the phone. We've got all the information. We've done our research. We know what we're going to talk about when they answer the phone.
Right.
And we're ready to get on the phone, and we go, I don't know. I think I'm going to get on Facebook and look and see what's going on TikTok and look at Twitter. And then we get distracted by whatever else is out there to distract us from the possibility of that pain.
Right.
So sometimes those obstacles that we create are our own distractions. They are our
self-imposed
own
limitations.
self-imposed limitations. They're our own blocks to success. So this 75 hard thing and is really if we are family friendly, it's really a mind is what it is.
It is. It's literally a mental challenge.
And when you can learn to push Vanessa and Kristen and Michelle and me and Christy and who else is doing this? Jared. Me and Christy.
Yeah.
Doing this. Winston's done it in the past. Some of you that have done this.
Jenny Martin's doing it. Anna Davis is doing it.
Jenny, Anna, Blake.
Is Blake doing it? Okay.
The mental strength that you're going to have at the end of the 75 days is what's going to propel everything in your life to be better. I promise you. Because they're going to be some, like, I'm just going to, this is just everybody on the 75 hard knows this. But I've been walking this path. So in the mornings in Mount Juliet, they built this new path that walks to the park. It's a great 45-minute walk. It's fantastic. But it poured down rain, like monsoon rained early last week.
Early this week.
So there were a couple of puddles. When I say puddles, like small ponds on the path. One day, the water was up to my knees.
You walked through it?
Oh, my God, yeah. Heck yeah. I walked through it. I had shorts on.
I would have turned around and
nope.
Walk back.
I walked right through it. And when I walked through it, and I saw some family walking this way. I said, there's a big puddle back there. It's really, really deep. You might not want to walk through it. So I did my walk, walked back through it again. So there was like 3 or 4 more puddles I had to walk through, right? Came all the way back, saw the family, and the dad said, you could have walked through the woods to get around that puddle. And I said, it wasn't about that. It was about this. And I just kept on walking.
Curious. Yay, baking. She said, "You, yay, 75R, me, yay, baking TikTok."
So my point is, was walking through the puddle necessary? No. Was it challenging? Yes, because it was super cold that morning. It was like 38 degrees. So that water was super cold. But again, it's not going to kill me. It's not going to kill me. It's going to make me stronger. It helps me understand why I'm doing what I'm doing. And the whole point of doing what I'm doing is for the mental strength.
And talk about momentum. So I want to talk about momentum for a second on this, because I know, so yesterday we finished day 5. Was that right?
Mm-hmm.
So we were Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. Yeah. So yesterday we finished day 5. I'm going to tell you, the further I get in, the more days that I've got marked off, the more momentum, like those, your progress is pushing you, because you're thinking to yourself, I've already done this for 5 days. I'm not going to miss and have to start back over again from scratch because I didn't get I was on the phone with him last night and I'd already started the workout and there's 45 minutes. So I paused it. I'm talking to him on the phone for a little while, and a distraction. Okay. And they tell you pause it, hit the pause button if you need to. So whenever we got on the phone, I paused it whenever I started like working a little bit more. So I was talking to him, and then I'm like, oh my gosh, I gotta get back. I gotta finish this workout. So I literally had like, I think when I got phone, I had like 38 minutes that I could finish the workout. And I had about probably 28 minutes left of it. So I had to get off the phone, get this workout finished. And so it just, but I'm thinking to myself, there's no way. And I literally knew whenever I sent my 75, I think I sent my 75 hard thing in at like 11:56, knowing that I had that much of the water left to drink. And I was probably already over my gallon, but in my mind, what was left in that bottle was probably over a gallon. But in my mind, I was finishing that last bottle, and it was the big, tall, like liter bottles of the Smart Water. And so I was literally chugging, racing the clock to get that water down. But the progress that we've already made becomes the momentum that pushes you forward to keep going.
Can you feel the momentum you can kind of feel?
Absolutely. Because I'm looking at that going, I'm not fixing to start back over because I didn't hit something by 12 o'clock, because our cutoff for I mean, it's 24 hours. It's the 12 o'clock. So I was like, yeah, I'm finishing this thing and I'm pushing this thing through. So eventually that momentum becomes your part of what's pushing you through to keep going, the progress that you've already made. So, I mean, I think that really, but I do think that some people make it harder than it needs to be.
Morning, Shay.
They really do make any change, incremental change. And I talked about it yesterday. You don't have to make quantum leap change. You don't have to go from 0 to 60. You can go from 0 to 1. And then the next day you go from 1 to 2. And the next day you go from 2 to 3. Yeah. Next day you go from 3 to 4. Or maybe that day you jump from 4 to 7. And that, because again, that progress that you've made becomes what helps push you through to keep going further.
But here's the thing. And this is what I want to remind you of. And I want you to pay attention to the emotion that you're about to feel. It is so easy to go backwards.
It is.
It is so easy to be sedentary. And sedentary is not still. Sedentary is backwards. You are always in motion. You're either going backward or you're going forward. Right. There is no sitting still. Christy's used this analogy before. If you're in a boat, the boat's not just sitting there. It's going to go somewhere.
Right.
If there's the engine's not pushing it and there's no propulsion, it's going somewhere.
Right.
Okay.
It just and it could be going forward.
You're either going
by
forward,
randomness,
but it's the current that's pushing it, not
Correct.
The boat necessarily.
Right.
So the current of your life, sometimes you got to fight that, because the current of our lives, the current of Western civilization, the current of what we do on a daily basis tells us it's okay to be distracted by TikTok, tells us it's okay to be distracted by Facebook, tells us it's okay to have too many things going on. It's okay to have 17 windows open on your computer. It's okay to do all and to be able to,
I think
to work.
You added me on that one.
No,
it's at Christy.
I have 3
windows.
No, I have 3 screens. Y'all, when I'm in my office at Greensboro, I have 3 screens.
Good morning, Shay.
I have 3 screens with probably 17 windows open, and I've got the TV on, and I've got my Alexa playing music. And I've got the phone going. I mean,
God, that gives me anxiety just thinking about it.
There's so many things going on, but the world that we live in says that's okay. The world we live in says there's nothing wrong with that. So I want to tell you something. When you start feeling still and you start feeling like you're not pushing, you're going backwards. And the only way to accomplish the things that you want to accomplish, the only way that you can do the things that you've never done is you got to be uncomfortable. You got to encounter those obstacles. You got to find a way to get around those. Yep. You got to find a way to push through the pain of dialing those 7 numbers to that expired. You're going to have a rough conversation with that homeowner. Now, I heard this last night when I was doing my last workout. And Christy hasn't heard this. But it was. And
I want to talk too, so I'm gonna have to make him hurry before talking.
So there's a team leader in Savannah, and she said one thing we never do on our team is we never practice on the public. So if you haven't practiced with a partner, with one of us, with an accountability partner, with somebody in the office on how to talk to an expired, don't call an expired listing yet. Okay, let's get in the habit of practicing with each other. That's something for another day and a topic for another day. But I want to encourage you again. I want to.
See, and I disagree with that. So I'm going to say I disagree with that wholeheartedly, and I'll tell you why. And it's just a different viewpoint, completely different viewpoint.
Okay.
And I have something whenever we're doing expireds that I say that kind of helps you overcome that almost makes you not fumble around and mess up as much as you would if you were dealing with one that was like super important. So, but again, it's just a different way of overcoming obstacles of change. And I think that for their team, it probably works. And it works because the team leader says this is what we're going to do. But I feel like
a lot of money. It's a lot of work. There's a lot of business.
The authenticity of things, whatever works for each person. But I want to go to something that I talked about, and I did a visual on the board the other day talking about change, and we talk about, because part of that podcast I was listening to talks about really your intention behind the change makes all the difference in the world. And if you're approaching this change from a place of lack, from a negative place, that change is much, much harder to sustain. So, and they gave the example, I want to lose weight because I feel bad. I want to lose the weight because I'm unhappy with how my clothes fit. When you approach a change, it is much easier to get happy with the way you feel about to change your mindset around how you feel. And the change is not necessarily as sustainable, is what she's saying, is that like sometimes if you say, I want to lose weight because I'm unhappy with the way that I feel, then you're taking a negative, okay? And if you're trying to reduce a negative or eliminate a negative, it is finite, okay? There's only so much of that negative to get rid of. So as soon as they get rid of the I'm not happy with the way that I look thought, which was what triggered that change, then they stop the change. And then they're going to revert back. And so that's where the yo-yo process comes in. Because if you've got the yo-yo and your goal is to eliminate that yo-yo, as soon as you eliminate that yo-yo, a lot of times they don't do it. It's kind of like people taking antibiotics, but you don't finish the whole prescription. Okay. You think you're feeling better. And so you stop taking the medicine, and then suddenly that negative starts growing again. Okay. Whereas if you approach it from the standpoint of, I want to do this challenge because I want to, and I use the example of G. He was there at the meeting the other day. So Heather was there, and I said, okay, so if Heather says, and Heather doesn't need to lose weight, obviously, but let's just say she wanted to get healthy. Let's say she was one of those really, really, really unhealthy, slender people. I'm not going to use the word skinny. Let's say she was one of those that on the outside, somebody would look at her and go, you have no reason to want to start any sort of exercise regimen. And in her mind, yes, I do, because I want to be able to watch G, who's 4, grow up, do all his sports in school, go do the graduation from high school, get married, go to prom, not in that order. Like you want to go to prom first, then you want to graduate high school. You don't want to graduate high school, then go to prom. Although people do it. I'm not recommending it, but it is a thing that happens.
That's your thing.
But you have to get something signed off by the principal, and you got to submit your ID and a background check.
It's typically in Alabama.
In Alabama. So then you get married, not to your cousin. And then you have kids, and then Heather gets to have grandbabies, and her and Dave get to do all these things. So what she's approaching this change from is from a place of, even though the two might start the same size, the negative she's trying to eliminate. And right now she's only gotten through this much of G's life, and she's wanting to adapt a healthier lifestyle so that she gets to experience the fullness of all of this. that circle keeps growing and growing and growing and growing and growing if your focus for the change is coming from a place of positiveness. If you're coming from a place of, I want to get healthy and have a healthy lifestyle so that I get to see all these things happen. So then that circle of positive grows and grows and grows, and it's infinite. It doesn't stop. Whereas you can't eliminate enough negative to drive sustainable long-term change, right?
I feel that.
Because when you get back in that pair of size 4 jeans, you're like, I don't have to work out anymore. And guess what? 6 months later, those size 4 jeans don't fit anymore. So now that negative has gotten back to where it was, and then you get unhappy because there hasn't your driving force behind your reasoning for changing, for implementing this change can only get so small. Because once you eliminate the negative that was driving that change, another negative is going to pop in. So as long as you're focusing on, we kind of had that conversation with somebody in where were we whenever it was a GAR, and we were sitting there, we were talking to an agent about, there were some things that in the brokerage that she was part of that didn't necessarily, she wasn't really a fan of, but she wasn't focusing on the negative of the brokerage. She was focusing on the positive, because you can't focus enough on the negative. She's like, it's not perfect, but because she knew she can't focus enough on the negative to eliminate the negative to really drive your career. You got to focus on the things that are good about where you're at and make those bigger, because what you focus on is what grows. If you focus on the negative, as soon as you get rid of that negative, there's going to be another negative. And there's going to be, if that's the box you're looking in, whereas if you're looking in the positive, you can always focus on those positives and grow those and grow those and grow those.
Can I jump in?
Absolutely.
So in as Christy's talking, the feeling that what's kind of hitting my emotions is when we when we have something negative, that's really us feeling something about a certain situation, right? And so we have a perception that this situation is negative, right? Because I could use something like, I don't see Anna on here. This is not a shot at Anna, but I'm gonna use something like smoking cigarettes.
Yellow shag carpet. Used it the other day.
So let's say it's smoking cigarettes. There are people who live to be 175 years old who smoke cigarettes every single day.
Right.
And they worked outside every day, and they were farmers, and they dug and they smoked just constantly. And they were perfectly fine.
Yep.
They used to advertise smoking on TV and said, oh, these cool people, they all smoke. But now the perception around smoking is that it's negative. So the perception globally,
lung cancer kind of plays into that.
The perception globally is different of smoking now. But it really is a perception of the negative versus something. It's a perception.
I'm gonna jump in.
Hang on, I'm not done yet.
Okay.
So more times than not, when we look at a situation and we say that's negative, that is a perception, which I believe leads into when we start to make improvements on that and we start to eliminate that perception, then we rest on our laurels. On the flip side of that, working towards something to become the best version of yourself, working towards something to become the fittest person of yourself, working toward being the most educated person, working toward being the best version of you, there's no limit there.
Right.
There's no perception there. That is a reality. That is you walking around toward the best version of you, how God created you to be. So that is an infinite path. Right. That is an infinite purpose. That is an infinite perception. And so you can walk toward that and walk in that. It's like the 75 hard thing, the momentum Christy's talking about. You get the wind beneath your wings. You start to feel this pushing you toward the better version, the best version of yourself. Whereas if I'm just looking at, okay, I want to stop drinking because I have gout. That's a very stupid. It's not stupid.
But as soon as your gout quits hurting,
but as soon as the gout quits hurting, you're right back
drinking again.
You're right back into it. And not that there's anything wrong with drinking. Anything in excess is a bad thing.
Correct.
But that is so finite that as soon as the pain goes away from that, I'm good to go. And I'm right back doing it again. Whereas if I just go to the best version of myself, and in the best version of myself, I decide that behavior or that whatever back there is not serving me in the best version of me, then it's done.
Right.
I dipped Copenhagen from the time I was 14 years old. From the time I was 14 till I was probably 26, 27.
I don't know.
I've never dipped with her. Never dipped with her. Well, in 2000, I was still married. 2006, I think. I decided.
He's like, which way was that?
I'm trying to
Carry
count
the
the
one.
wives.
Divide by the square root.
I
of
remember.
six.
I remember the day. So we went. So Billy Graham came to.
He's like, I'm going to change over here and talk about the.
No. This is legit.
Right, I believe you.
So something that was a part of my life.
Yep.
From the time I was a freaking preteen to the time, and this was Billy Graham came to Nashville. He spoke at Nissan Coliseum. We went to watch Billy Graham, and when I left there, and it wasn't like a religious thing. I had dip in my pocket. Heck, I was dipping in the Billy Graham concert. And when I walked out, I went, you know what?
Billy Graham concert?
Billy Graham crusade thing.
Yeah.
Concert. It's at a stadium. It's a concert.
It's like a concert.
Yeah. I walked out, took the dip can out of my pocket, put it in the trash can,
Flinged it.
and never dipped again. Never dipped again.
Because you can truly do it. And I truly believe that sometimes change, you have to do it just like that.
And honestly, y'all, I picked it back up.
At Anna.
I picked it back up at some, like when I worked at Allied Modular, just because everybody in there dipped, and I did it again, and then I quit again. And I'm done with it. And I've never dipped since. So my point is, it wasn't serving the best version of me.
Correct.
It wasn't serving the best version of me. So I wasn't eliminating it so I wouldn't get lip cancer. That wasn't enough for me. I wasn't eliminating it because it was disgusting. That wasn't enough for me. I wasn't eliminating because I spilled dip cans in my car, or I spilled it on my lap. I eliminated it because it wasn't serving the best version of me. And when you can walk in your truth and walk in knowing that what you're doing is serving the best version of you,
yep.
whether it's your real estate business, whether it's your walking around being a friend, whether it's you helping people in your community, whether it's you being the best mom or the best dad, or the best sister, the best husband, whatever it is, when those things serve the best version of you, the inspiration and the motivation and the internal drive to push toward that,
yep.
Nobody can stop you.
Yep.
Nobody can stop you. And there's no obstacle. The obstacle will be there. I promise you, y'all, there ain't nothing on this planet that the devil and the enemy, that your ego doesn't want to see stop more than you being the best version of yourself.
So I want to jump in here because I want to say this, because you were saying something a while ago, and it was talking about, so going back to the idea and the intention behind that change, and something in that Billy Graham concert, Billy Graham, I never like, even hearing you say that you went to a Billy Graham crusade is amazing. That's one thing. I mean, I watched it on TV so much. I never got to actually experience being in that presence. Because I'm gonna tell you right now, if you were in the physical presence of Billy Graham, you were in the presence of the Lord. There ain't no ifs, ands, or buts about it. I mean, that's as close to being in the presence of God on earth as I think.
Pope.
No, not the Pope. I'm talking about Billy Graham. There's a far cry difference. So I'm not being hateful on the Catholics. I'm just saying Billy Graham is what I would have done to have been in that setting. So, and again, you never know when you're never going to have that opportunity to do something. So I say do it if you get the opportunity. Not, well, you ain't going to do that now.
If you see Billy Graham, you got bigger problems.
No. If you get Billy Graham, you already have no problems.
Yeah, you've already crossed over. You're
you
good.
have no problems.
Your problems are done.
But just talking about, I was talking about the incremental change, and one thing that you said a while ago that I heard, and I thought I wrote it down somewhere, but I don't see it. Change when you prune, and it's talking about the pruning process, and when you're pruning and you're making this change, okay, because a lot of times the pruning is getting rid of a negative mindset.
Mm-hmm.
It's getting rid of something in your life that's not serving the best version of you. It's not serving your journey towards that best version of you. So, and what she said was, pruning is not a one and done. How many times do you cut back or you prune a rose bush or you're trying to eliminate something, and then it creeps back in and you got to prune it again? It's not just a one and done. And if you can approach it from that standpoint, that eventually after you do something over and over and over again, it's eventually going to go away, but there are times that it's going to grow back.
It's pervasive. Weeds are pervasive.
It's pervasive.
Negativity is pervasive.
It is. And those habits, just like you said, you eliminated it.
Yeah.
And then something you allowed something back into your life, or you put yourself, whether it was voluntary or it was a job, you found yourself back in an environment that was available to you, and it was tempting to you. And that little seed of, ooh, I liked it, or and maybe it's not even the seed of wanting the Copenhagen. Maybe it's the seed in you that says, I do what I'm surrounded with.
Mhm.
And it's just that habitual thought pattern of doing things just to fit in. Okay. Because everybody at Allied Modular dips.
Y'all, I love Copenhagen. By
So,
the way. When she said
and
that,
you-
I'm just like, oh gosh.
Don't you even think about it. Y'all, if he walks in with a black eye, it's because I caught him dipping and I punched him right straight in the eye. So that change, though, the drive behind the change. So, because I have a funny story that I'm not going to tell here, but it's a funny story that I have about dip in a toilet. So recently,
Oh gosh. Sounds like a fantastic story. I can't wait to hear this
I
one.
thought I was dying. I literally was dying. And then it dawned on me.
I'm gonna like the people on TV. Pause, take a break, drink some water.
Oh, now I got to tell y'all
No,
what the story is. I went and peed, okay? I'm drinking all this water, and I didn't. And when you're in a house that you don't, like, if I'm in a public place, I'm going to check the toilet before I sit down, right? I mean, is that what y'all do? It's just a habit, okay? So sorry, y'all. I'm going to go sidebar for a second. So, because this is where it can kill you.
Good Lord.
So I didn't look into it. I just lifted the lid and sat down, started peeing.
Well, there was a snake in there.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Like anywhere else, I'm not very comfortable with the setting. I'm gonna check the toilet because that's my worst fear is getting bit on the butt by a snake.
Or an alligator or something.
No, seriously. Like I've heard of people getting bit by snakes on toilets, and so that's just something that I've always like. I check the toilet before I sit down to make sure there's not some creepy snake that's crawling.
Always looking there. Y'all get that's the thing with women. Y'all get so comfortable in what you're doing, and Russ is like,
well, until I stand up to flush the toilet, and there's all this stuff in the toilet, and all I did was peed. And I'm like, what in the world is this diet doing to me?
Am I expelling out of my body?
I mean, that's not supposed to be there when all you did was peed.
God.
So I'm like, kind of in my mind, I'm freaking out.
How do y'all even want to work with us? What in the world possessed you to want to come to Extra Really Low Country? Are you kidding me right now?
So then I'm like, so I flushed toilet.
I feel so bad for y'all.
Anyways, I wasn't dying. It was somebody had poured dip in the toilet. Okay, carrying on. Sorry, y'all. I'm literally crying. I'm laughing.
I know why Carrie came today. I know why Carrie came because you and Christy are the same effing freaking person. Y'all do the same shit. And you're married to a guy named Aaron. That's the craziest thing ever. And we spell it the same way. That's even crazier.
Who throws our necessity items out of our consoles, and they're not there when we need them.
Oh my gosh.
Anyways, I'm sorry, y'all. That was a distraction. I do apologize. So I thought someone was going to say, no, it is me. That is literally one of my biggest, like one of the weirdest fears you have. Like that people are looking, what are you talking about? How does a snake even get up? Have you not ever watched Batman? Have you not seen the stuff that comes up through the sewer systems? Oh God, that's so funny. My bad. I have totally digressed. I don't remember where I was at now. I was talking about something with change, but
I'm scared of snakes.
I don't know where
By the
I
way,
was.
Carrie, that is
I'm
not
so sorry, y'all.
that
If
is not
someone could please tell me where I was before I started my thought.
it's not an irrational fear.
That I had stuff like that. My body was shedding itself of things that were.
And she'd been overcome with leeches.
I was scared.
Oh,
Lord, sorry. Oh God, I'm crying. So, anyways, I don't remember where I was at, but no, I know what it was. It was talking about it's not one and done. It's not. Sometimes you have to keep pushing through for that change to eliminate the thought patterns that are behind it. Have we lost people because they're
dropping like flies?
Oh Lord. Anyways, so but it consistent, healthy normals, and it talked about, and so when we can establish attainable normals. So when I was talking about having value and I kind of touched on it a little bit yesterday, but I talked about for people who just watch the scoreboard, if you just watch the scoreboard for your results, there's a lot of times that you are the inputs. If you're only checking the outputs constantly and you're not truly just focusing on the inputs, and you know that those inputs are going to produce results, they might not produce them in the time period you think they're going to produce them in. And so people who constantly check the scoreboard, and I talked about the fact that half of Bulldog Nation, probably not half of it, but at least a solid week 10%, went to bed because they thought the Bulldogs were going to lose. They literally went to bed because they said, you know what, I'm not even watching this crap. We're losing. We are 2 touchdowns, 3 touchdowns behind, whatever, at halftime, or what. We weren't behind at halftime. But anyways, so when they got back behind again in the second half, they're like, I'm going to bed. I'm done here. I'm not wasting my night watching this. And then they wake up next morning and find out that they won, right? Because you know what? Kirby Smart didn't stop. He wasn't watching the scoreboard. He was watching the timer. That's what he was watching. He was watching the timer. He was watching to make sure if there's still a chance, if I've still got seconds on that clock, there's still a chance that we're going to pull this thing out. And he called, in my opinion, one of the greatest timeouts. And a lot of people think the timeout that he called that caused them to get that pull ahead, that touchdown that pulled them right there behind them, or actually it was the pull ahead touchdown, and then Ohio State came back and scored again. I don't think that's the greatest timeout of all time. I think the greatest timeout was when he called the timeout and he iced the kicker. That's what won us that game, because sometimes when you've done everything you can do, defensive moves, which is exactly, it was a defensive timeout. That is exactly what won that ball game for the Georgia Bulldogs, because we needed to maintain the lead. So offense got us there. Defense kept us there. Okay. And it wasn't the defense blocking the kick. It was the coach blocking the kicker, is exactly what happened. Was that coach iced the kicker with one of the most strategic timeouts, in my opinion, that I've seen in college football in a long time. Probably second to the.
They do it all the time. But
well, I know, but not in that kind of situation. They do it a lot. I mean, they do ice the kicker a lot, but in that particular situation, it literally allowed us to advance to the national championship. It kept us in the game. Okay. So there's times that we're going to be faced with. Last night, Aaron came in and you wrapped up with cheese, right? You didn't eat bread. Please tell me you didn't have a sandwich last night. So he came in last night. He'd been driving. He was driving in. He said he stopped on the side of the interstate. So apparently he didn't get off somewhere that he could have gotten food. So he was hungry when he got here. Okay. So what's he do? He comes in here and he's like, I'm going to grab something to eat. So we had some leftover ham from New Year's Day. He grabbed some ham and he wrapped it up in cheese because he's cutting out carbs. And I said, oh, this is going to be fun. When he told me last night on the way here that he's cutting out no pizza. Well, pizza is carbs. I know. What if we did cauliflower pizza? Is that still like pizza's off your list altogether?
Yeah, pizza's off my list. I love pizza so much.
But what if it's like pizza?
I'm not eating
that's a whole nother. Okay, so cool. So I might make a cauliflower pizza that I could eat, but because the only thing I'm doing,
my wife to do that.
No. But cauliflower pizza, are you cutting out the bread or the concept of pizza? Pizza itself. Yes. Okay. So, and he said he's cutting out all carbs, and I'm like, oh, this is going to be a fun weekend. No beer, no pizza, no carbs. God, my husband is going to be an absolute.
If there was ever a week, if there was ever a week to do shots of liquor, it'd been last week for sure, or this week. Hey, let me say something. I'm gonna
let you talk because I got to go over my pizza.
So I can almost guarantee you that on the sidelines, and I'm using the reference of the Georgia Ohio State game, and I'll use this reference. Georgia's down. They're in a position they're not used to being in. They're in a position where those players are looking at the results. They are looking at the scoreboard. What they are doing is not working like it's always worked in the past. What they're doing is not getting them the result that it's always gotten them in the past. And I am certain there was a ton of discouragement on the Georgia sidelines. And I will almost bet you $1 billion that Kirby Smart was on the sidelines talking to his leadership, talking to those players and saying, boys, we've prepared for this. We do this every single day. You've been doing this every single day since the summer. You've been running these plays. You've been calling these audibles. You've been reading these defenses. You've been tackling. You've been doing all these essential things. every single day since early in the summer. We know the foundation of what we are and who we are as a team. We know what we've been doing since early in the summer. Trust this. It's going to work out. Just keep fighting. Just keep pushing. Do not give up. Do not quit. Keep rocking. And I promise you, when the clock strikes 0, we're going to be ahead. I will almost bet you $1 billion that was the conversation on the sideline with his players. So that's my conversation to you. That's your conversation with yourself. You have got to put in every single day those small things. You got to block and tackle. You got to make the phone calls. You've got to prospect. You got to have your morning routines. You've got to do all those things every single day and just stick with the process, because sometimes when you make phone calls on Monday, you have no results. But sometimes on Tuesday, you get 3 new listing leads. And every now and again on Wednesday, you get cussed out. But sometimes on Thursday, you have 3 appointments to get you a $500,000 listing.
That's right.
You just got to keep doing what you're doing. You got to keep pushing like you're pushing. You got to get through the soreness of doing the different thing to achieve the thing you've never had.
Right.
And so I want to encourage you today is because today's the day you're supposed to have your plan. Today's the day you're supposed to have your plan put together. And I want you to look at that plan, and I want you to pay attention to that plan. And I want you to understand that doing the things behind the scenes, doing the things that nobody cares about, doing the things that aren't on the scoreboard, doing the things that don't end up in the newspaper or end up on the radio or end up on TV,
right?
Doing those little things every single day are the things that drive the massive success at the end.
Right.
The massive success at the end is not in the flashes in the pan.
Right.
It's not in the big plays. It's in the 2-yard run. It's in the tackle for a loss.
Yep.
It's in all those little things that don't matter in the individual moment.
Right.
But those individual things added up make the big impact.
Well, and they do, positive or negative. And I say this all the time. There's nothing that irritates me more because when you're playing a game that is on a clock, like the clock, if the clock ticks down to 0, you're done. Some sports, it's not like that. A lot of sports it is. Baseball, it's not like that. You've got innings. No matter how long it takes, they're going to get through at least those 9 innings. Okay. In football, when I see teams scurrying, I mean, the clock, and I've watched them the whole game, the whole first 3.5 quarters of the game, not being real intentional about their clock management and being intentional about managing what they're doing. And then suddenly at the end of the game, there's more points scored in the last half of the 4th quarter than there is the entire rest of the game, because they get focused and they get intentional whenever they start to see that timer ticking down. And then it's like, suddenly it's like, oh my gosh, time out. Whenever there was never that sense of urgency throughout the rest of the game. And I think to myself, if you'd only demonstrated a fraction of that sense of urgency earlier in the game, or even that sense of intention earlier in the game, you wouldn't be frantically running around at the very last minute. I wouldn't have been chasing the clock last night, chugging the smart water like I was at some college house party, because and Aaron said, you probably should have started drinking your water earlier. And I'm like, I did start drinking it earlier, but then distractions throughout the day kept me from staying on course and on track with my drinking of my water. Because I've kind of got it worked down to where instead of me trying to chug 8 bottles of regular size water or carry around this gallon jug, I'm doing it in 4-liter bottles. So and I can literally chug a liter bottle. I was on the phone with him driving home from Carson's basketball game last night, and I drank within about 2.5, 3 minutes an entire liter bottle, because I can chug the water. It's just a matter of then you kind of feel like blah, like I'm sitting there the whole time. So just and this thing here is it's consistent normals that align with our goals make it so much easier to overcome little distractions that we let creep in. If we're consistent in following what we're doing, and then we have a little distraction that creeps in, it's so much easier to overcome, because it didn't really throw us and derail us and throw us off the whole entire plan. It was just a small little adjustment that we just tweak it right back in. So don't watch the scoreboard, stay consistent, because if we're only focused on the outcome, and you said this just in a different way, sometimes we struggle to find value in those actions. If we're only focused on the results of those actions, sometimes we struggle to find value, and the value that we know is there is the reason why we started doing it, and it's the reason why we'll continue doing it. And eventually you start to see some results. So I would challenge you guys, and you talked about this, I guess it's something you probably talked about when I wasn't on a call, but he said, today's the day you're supposed to have your plan. So, and I guess that's maybe a plan of what you're going into next week, or the plan for the rest of, so, and again, we eat an elephant one bite at a time. So I would say every day, or maybe even if you have to do it at half the day, what have I done so far in the day that hasn't served the direction I'm going? What that is not one of those intentional actions, but what distractions have you allowed to creep in? And if you have to do a lunchtime check, and then you have to do an end of the day check, because then you're making your list for the next day, keeping short accounts on things in the beginning are what will help you develop some really sustainable thought patterns and behavior patterns. And that goes with your positive behaviors as much as it goes with keeping your negative thoughts and your negative behavior patterns out of your process each day.
Yeah.
And then each day look back and say, okay, today, what did I do that served me? And what distractions did I allow in that I'm going to be more intentional about tomorrow, not letting into my day? And then at the end of the week, what did I do this week? And just kind of do some self-evaluation, because I do believe that that's what's going to drive sustainable long-term. It's not even just the driving piece of it, because as the pruning talks about, and even the seasons and the law of the harvest is, there's a time for sowing, there's a time for gathering.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
And there's a time for maintaining. Okay. So you don't always have to be sowing, trying to get more. Sometimes you've got to do the maintenance items that allow the sowing. And that's when the sowing is kind of taking root, and you're maintaining, and then you're gathering, and then you're preparing. And then you start back over again with sowing, and you're maintaining, and then you're gathering, and then you're preparing, and then you sow, and you maintain, and you gather, and you prepare. And then it just becomes a cycle.
Yeah. And that's, there's so much to unpack right there, because I've got a whole thing that I want to talk about sowing and reaping.
Yeah.
But I can't do it today because we're already at an hour.
Right.
So here's what I want to say. I think what you just said, the what is more important than the how.
Yep.
The why is more important than the what.
I love y'all. I have to go get a kid ready for school.
So the why is more important than a what, and the what's more important than the how. And what I think hurts us a lot of times is when we have these goals, when we have these targets, when we have these achievements that we've never achieved and these things we've never done, when we visualize, or we try to emotionally put ourselves in the position of having something, our immediate human response is, how am I going to do that? How am I going to make $100,000? How am I going to buy that new car? How am I going to do this? How am I going to do that? And the how's not your issue. The farmer doesn't plant the seed and worry about the how. He knows all I got to do is plant the seed, do what I've got to do, maintain that seed, protect what I've done, protect the work that I've already done, and the how takes care of itself. Kristen just posted this, and I just put it on there so you can see this. Keep showing up, stay consistent, and the rest will take care of itself.
Yep.
You keep showing up for yourself. And I was going to say this when Christy was the quickest way to eliminate negative is to stop thinking about the negative and just accentuate the positive. Because I promise you keep working and pushing and moving in the direction of your best version of you, the negative falls away. Negative people will fall away. Negative situations will fall away. Negative thought patterns will fall away. You'll start to gain strength. Go in the direction of your dream. Go in the direction that you're supposed to go. That's the point of your plan. That's the point of having your plan and having a guide book and a way to go. That's the whole point of that. Is you look, these three things are the things I'm going after. These two things are the things I'm going after. And I'm going to make my phone calls, and I'm going to go walk 45 minutes, and I'm going to drink 74 gallons of water a day. And I'm going to do this because these are my three overriding goals. That's why I want you to have a plan. But I want you to go out today, and I want you to do everything in the direction of your dream. I want you to do everything that you can in the direction of your achievement. I want you to do everything that you can in the direction of your plan, the direction of your goals, the direction of your targets. And I want you to keep walking that way and let the negative just fall away. Because I promise you it will. I'm going to say this, and I'm going to get out of here. Whatever it might be, trust the process. Thank you, Christian Ritchie, by the way, for putting that up there. Whatever it is, trust the process. Show up every single day. Be consistent. The rest is going to take care of itself. The rest will take care of itself. You don't have to worry about the sun rising. The sun rises without your help. All you got to do is open up your eyes and be thankful for it. Love y'all. Be good, be great, be you. Have an awesome Friday. Have an awesome first Friday in January of 2023. And love you guys.
Oh, today's Christian Ritchie and Brooke Watkins' birthday.
Whoa, today's Christian Ritchie and Brooke Watkins' birthday. And for your birthday, I am not going to sing happy birthday to you. So that's my gift to you that you don't have to hear me sing. So happy birthday, y'all. Have an awesome day. Love you, Brooke. Love you, Kristen. Love you all. Bye. Be good, be great. Be you.